Hey there! I hope you can hear and see me all right. That's my first time streaming on YouTube instead of Twitch. I'm Modern RetroTech, and today we will talk about LiveView, Phoenix, and improving on the existing play queue representation in web services. Oh God, I'm absolutely not hearing myself. Okay, that's good. Um, First off, before we start talking about what we exactly will do today, I want to create a new Phoenix project because otherwise it may be a bit long to wait for it to start up. So let's go to the terminal and start with the magical command. We won't need Ecto today, so no Ecto, but we will need LiveView, so we add live option. So now we will need to install dependencies, and while that is happening, we can look at Spotify. So Spotify is this. And by the way, the command I just executed is that. Spotify, everybody knows it. It's the most popular player. Sadly, its playlist functionality is far from the perfect. If you have a very long playlist like I have here, you can see that even scrolling behavior is very botchy. Of course, my computer is running OBS right now, but even without OBS, you can see quite a lot of lag, and it's definitely not 60 FPS. Apart from that, in general, the whole behavior of this play queue is very inconsistent. So if, for example, we will try to move a bunch of tracks up, you can see that this lags very, very hard. And there is no way to do something like play some album right after the track you are listening to. So that's the only way you can actually reorder tracks in your play queue. Another thing, of course, is the behavior of the, oh my God, it lags so hard right now. I cannot even scroll up. Okay. So another thing is the back button behavior. So it's typical for single page web applications to break back button, but in this case, it's even a bit more extreme because you cannot even predict what it will play. So if you, yeah, I'm muted, so YouTube will not ban me. If I start playing something and then I start to play something else, and then I try to go back, what will play? Completely different albums that I listened several days back. And that happens, that works very differently in different play modes. So if you listen into a Spotify playlist and you press back button, it's one behavior. If you have in a play queue, it's another behavior. It also depends if you have this next up thing happening, which also sometimes it's created, sometimes it's not created for no apparent reason. And of course, you can add to that all the weird behavior which happens when you try to connect, for example, your mobile phone and have the same play queue shared between the Spotify on your desktop and the mobile phone. Usually, you lose it on one of two devices at some point, or it starts to play something that you don't expect. Spotify by no means is the worst implementation. Actually, Play Music, Apple Music, they all have very similar problems. The only way to work with the playlist is drag and drop stuff. It works very bad if you looking at the desktop computer, and it looks even worse if you're trying to do it on mobile or on a laptop. And in general, a lot of the assumptions in the interface are broken. We are all used to those interfaces because they're quite typical when you, I don't know, use an analog player or old VHR tape recorder. You know how those controls works. Here, it's anybody's guess. So I thought this is non-trivial behavior. If so many big companies fail to implement this seemingly easy functionality, it may be an interesting thing to look at. Another thing is LiveView, of course, because LiveView is an amazing technology if you want to quickly create an MVP of your product. If you want to create some demo, you can, I'm pretty sure, also use it in production to some extent. But the main thing about LiveView is prototyping. So I think from all the front-end technologies I've tried so far, LiveView is the best technology for prototyping, and it is very, very easy to work with. It doesn't expect much of front-end knowledge from you. You only need to know Elixir. And once you do, it's pretty easy to apply your knowledge to create some pretty cool front ends. So while I was talking, our app was created. So we can try to open it up. I'm using Visual Studio Code. And let's put it here. And let's put my browser window here. Okay, that is a bit, yep. So now we can finally start coding something. So first thing first, how do you start this? This is the normal command for starting Phoenix. I also think I can make my font a bit larger, so it's a bit easier to see what happens here. Yeah, I think it looks fine now. So that was started, and we can now open it in our browser. And yep, we got our first page. Now let's clear it up a bit. So first thing, we will need to remove all this stuff that happens here. It's typical starter template. We will go to our templates. There are 3 of them in LiveView. So this is the root section with this header, so we can confidently remove that. That wraps inner content. This is LiveView specific helper, so we will remove that as well. I will keep the Flash controllers for now because they will show us errors and stuff like that. And that is not relevant for the LiveView part. Now we have a template of our page and our LiveView module here. So we'll collapse console for now. So there is this magical form, and there is this magical section header. Then there is a bunch of other things that we can also yank. And in front of that, I don't want to completely remove it because it has some stuff that I always forget. So I will just comment it out. Okay, we are at a clean page state, but that is not everything you need to do to completely clear the state. Another important thing is CSS reset. So I have somewhere a magical link. So yeah, that's mini reset CSS. I tried several resets. You can, of course, just wrap up your own quickly, but this one is, it both does box sizing, border sizing for border box sizing for the whole page, so that you don't need to constantly calculate margins and paddings manually. And it removes default margins and paddings. It sets font size and font weight to normal. It also changes some default properties for image, video, iframe, table, and table elements. So this stuff is really nice. Another thing, of course, is that we already have some CSS here, or more precisely, we have Sass. So here, this stuff we won't need. In fact, we can just remove this file. And instead, we can create a reset file. So nothing, of course, usually changes here yet. And we actually need to also rename it here. I will put this LiveView stuff into another file because otherwise it's a bit dirty looking. So live. And I will keep this end progress thing for now. Now, another thing when you start prototyping something is important to create a bunch of variables that you can change later on, for example, to play with the font size or with specific color scheme. So there are multiple approaches how you can do theming. In my case, I just prefer to have a SAS file with that I call theme. And here I can set, for example, stuff like font size or font family first. So let's say we have main font family, which will be Roboto, I guess. I will probably need to add it. And main font size will be 16. So let's put it here. Let's separate those imports for clarity. And to have the font, we will need to go to Google Fonts. We will need to grab Roboto. So open SAS, download family. I really don't want to download it. I wonder where the magical control for embedding it is. Okay, I guess I need to do the select this style. So we will need the regular font. We maybe will need a light version as well. And we, just in case, let's take the bold version and let's take regular italic. So then we can embed. Yes, that's the magical link. We will need to put it at this file, so in our head, before the style sheet. Now let's try to finally write something. We will not need reset, and we will make it a bit smaller. Yep. So it looks not very beautiful yet. One little trick when you work with LiveView, it helps sometimes to switch to normal HTML, because then you have stuff like emmet. So for example, here I can, let's open it and specify here one thing. So we can do container. Let's see. So we put it inside a container, and here we just say display flex. Let's make a big container that will contain the whole page. So the width will be 100% of view portraits, and the height will be 100% of viewport height. And for now, let's just see if that works by, for example, just like content center. Yep, and line items center. Okay. I wonder if our font family worked so. Is it indeed Roboto? Doesn't really look to me like Roboto. And I think I also made a mistake with this. Yes, I probably should say something like that. No. Oh, I just forgot to set it. That is slightly embarrassing. So I will, for now, just set it on body. Don't repeat that at home. Main font family, I guess. Yep, that looks like Roboto. And font size, main font size. I want to use the variable. Yep. Okay, that looks better. Now, let's try to add some things to our LiveView. So currently in our state, we have this search logic. We really don't care about it, so we can drop it. We'll also comment this out for now. And here, of course, I block everything. I don't want to search my query. So let's say, what do we want to assign? Let's start with the queue. Just call it like that. And let's start with an empty list. And maybe we want to create some struct for description of the tracks that we can have. So track will be a struct that has title, and it has artist, and it has album. For now, we will dump. So that's correct thingy. And let's create a little helper for generating our state. State. So here we will just return a list. Let's better do it a proper map here. So in queue, we will have a number of tracks. I'm not a fan of writing full bar here because then you will not have, you will essentially delude yourself into thinking that your interface is simpler than it should be. So I will take my actual play queue and I will put some stuff here. Monolith tracks look nice. So here we can alias this beautiful stuff so that we can do this. Maybe we can even create a helper function here so that we don't need to write that every time. And we just return module with artist and album. So here we can say them and just write it here. So we start with the title. So title is Sun, artist is Monolake, album I will not write yet. I will just copy that, I know, several times, and then linear atomium widely portraits. Now, thankfully, Visual Studio Code has this, so for album we can write it like that. I wonder if we can assign a whole thing here. So will it work? We will not yet know. Okay, that is needed. Why do we suggest? Oh, I'm also making here a little mistake because instead of putting that, okay, I need to reorder it a bit. Let's put it like that. And instead of doing that here, we need to do assignment here. So not available, which is good. I guess we will need to yank that stuff after all. Okay, can we just show them? Let's create a paragraph, and in that paragraph we can show our magical sign, which should be Q. Let's just inspect it so that we... Okay, we assigned worked even when we just passed the map here, which is really nice to know. But of course, that's not what we want to show here, right? So we will need to start with defining some kind of playlist thing. So I think for track in hue. Okay. Track title. Now let's just add this. Apart from, or better maybe, I want to write it like that. I want to have it div here, and I want to have a span which will include the track title, track artist, and track album for now. Let's see how. One way will be to create here another container, so we can call it. Yeah, one thing also that I forgot to mention. Normally when I work with CSS, I use BEM. BEM is a really cool methodology that allows you to name your CSS classes in a consistent manner. If you want to learn more, there is a very good website explaining this stuff at Get BEM Naming. So in essence, the methodology is very simple. You have some modular components that are called blocks. Block names are written with dashes and normal letters and digits. Then blocks can contain elements. Elements don't make sense outside of the blocks, so they are part of a whole. For those, you put two dashes between the block name and the element name, and you use underscores in the element name. And finally, you have modifiers. So modifiers are different states for the block. So for example, the button can be disabled, or button can be success button, or danger button. So you can put this stuff there. That gives you consistency in how you name stuff. And that also allows you to later on use the stuff modularly. So there are specific rules. You should not rely, for example, on complex CSS accessors where you, for example, say like every third element with this class under this ID should have this property. You don't do that. You only use classes. Of course, completely following that to 100% is rather hard. But for many situations, that's very good abstraction. Sometimes you can break rules a little bit. But if you follow them for like 90%, then you typically can just move stuff around without breaking it. You can put it on different pages. So you get this stuff like web components from a normal HTML and CSS, which I think is rather cool. So here, let's do exactly that. So track will be one block in BEM terminology. It will be one thing that you can use independently of anything else. You can put it on different parts of the page, and it can contain several elements inside itself. So in this sense, I will probably even make it a div, and here I will just make everything a div. So that, oops, that's not a span anymore. This is a div, and that's another div. So that's how it will work. So for those parts of the track, I will say that the class is track field. So here you can see this is track is the block name, and field is the element name. And it's always preceded by the block in which it is contained. So there are also rules how you apply classes in BEM. So let's make it a bit larger. typically you don't write the block class in the element itself. You just write this thingy here. Now, I will for now just put stuff here. So I will say for class track, what do I want to say for track? I think I want to have a flex container here. Flex direction will be raw. It's a default one, but it's better to specify it here for clarity. Then we have, I think that already, yeah, you can see that it already changed stuff here. Then for track field, I want to just add some padding. So I would say let's add, oops, it's a bit too much padding. Let's add, yeah, that sounds a bit better. Now, downside of this approach, of course, would be that the names are not aligned. We can put it into a table, but maybe we can make something simpler. Maybe we can just set specific sizes for the individual parts. So you can put several elements on one DOM element. So you can have several things happening here. We can say that this is artist and this is title and this is album. So then we can specify the sizes. I would just say okay, that looks better. You can also, of course, one good thing for debugging stuff like that is just put in some kind of background. So you can see that we have nice backgrounds there. So nothing is specifically standing out to me. It looks correct. One thing that you can notice, of course, is that we repeat stuff a lot, right? So we repeat the name of the artist and the name of the album multiple times. I think, at least, I think it really depends on how you listen to music, right? So if you listen to music like me, you often listen for whole albums. And if you listen for whole albums, it doesn't make much sense to write that on every track. However, if you listen into a lot of tracks from different artists or from different albums from the same from different albums of the same artist, then it makes sense to write it every time. I think that will be one of the refinements we can implement, where we put stuff when we have a bit more of playlist structure happening there. I think one good thing that will be also nice for us to do at this point is to create this class for a playlist, right? So now playlist track is inside a playlist, and it may look like track is an element of a block that is playlist, but it's not the case. So this is probably the hardest thing to get about BEM is what is a block and what is an element, because sometimes you cannot use it recursively. So you can contain blocks inside blocks, but you cannot have like block element and sub-elements. So in this sense, tracks can appear in multiple places. This is something that not necessarily contained inside a playlist. So, which means that from BEM point of view, at least, they're different blocks. They're not, track is not an element of a playlist. So for playlist, what do we want to do? For now, I will just bound it by some specific widths. So let's say Let's do it like that. And let's also bind it by height. So for example, let's say, I don't know, and we can also give it some background, right? So we can give it, let's say, yes. So that's how it looks right now. Of course, since I'm a huge fan of Flexbox, this will also be a Flexbox. In this case, flex direction will be probably column. Then we will need to justify content. And we will need to align. Or actually, I want to justify it to start. And we will align items to center. So that's how it looks for now. So we can comment out our colors. Maybe I want to actually decrease the height a bit. So let's say it will be 30. You can see that we don't have enough tracks here to trigger scrolling. So to trigger scrolling, we will need to add a bit more. For now, I will use a dirty trick. Please don't do that. Normally, I would, if I were not streaming, I would actually go to Spotify and I would copy more tracks and write it down. Actually, no, let's do that because I think it will be important if we want to add more artists to do stuff like group tracks of the same artist somewhere. So let's take somebody else. So for example, Behemoth is an amazing band. Let's take some tracks from them. So title. We probably already, by doing that, by the way, we will probably already run into some problems with our width fixation. So that may be a good chance to actually check this stuff. Oh. There is also an interesting case here where you have the name of the album and the name of the track being the same. So now the question is, how do we limit it, right? Usually we can do it like that. So we got our overflow. This is normal scroll bar. I actually don't even think you can style it much, but this is more than sufficient. Another case, of course, how fast that normally works, right? We don't have much components here. We don't have, like this track looks very ugly and terrible, and maybe we can already adjust it a bit, say okay. Let's make it larger. Then we will need to adjust our width as well, which is nice. But we can quickly check how fast this state, how fast the scrolling will be in the browser without any additional stuff happening, right? So for that, we will take our initial state and we will save it here. And then we do a simple thing. We say, I wonder if we can say something like repeat, maybe. Oh, I think it's in list. So there is, I think there is a method that allows you to just write a number, how many times it needs to repeat stuff. The float, wrap, first, duplicate. Duplicate, I think is the thing, yes. Yeah, so we can just say state queue and we can duplicate it, for example, 10 times. So currently we have 10 tracks. We will have 100 tracks after that. Oh, and here, of course, we need to say that we need to use our state. And something broke. What broke? Title, 3 arguments. Track new. Okay, if I just do that, it works. If I do that, oh my God, of course, I need to, yes, true, I just need to do that. I can just do that, so I can't. What does it not like? No file. Anonymous function, maybe our console. Oh yeah, that's better. So we are applying this type to title here. It looks like it doesn't understand what we are doing. Q, can we inspect Q? Bullet, for example. So that's our state. Oh, I see. Instead of having a list, we have a list of lists here. So we will need to do enum flatten here as well. Or list flatten, I guess. Yes. Yay! So now we have a lot of tracks, and you can see no problems with scrolling stuff. So of course, browser is not that inefficient, and like even drawing 10,000 diffs right now is not such a big problem. And we can see that even if I say, okay, let's do 1,000 of tracks here, it's still very, very smooth. It's very fast. In fact, you can even do stuff like, I think you can say we don't need this stuff anymore, and we don't need to, oh yeah, we already removed the login here. So here we can also, I think, scroll behavior smooth. I wonder if it will change anything. Now, one thing, of course, is that in my case, I also have the beautiful Logitech mouse that has this weird wheel. So when you start to scroll it, it doesn't stop automatically necessarily if you do it fast. If you do it slowly, it goes slowly. So I'm really wondering if this is behavior of my mouse now, or if this is behavior of the browser. It feels a bit smoother, but okay, it doesn't really matter here. Yeah, well, let's try to make it even larger. I wonder if we can. So this should render 100,000 tracks. I really hope that I will not break anything right now. I wonder if it did it. So, ooh, okay, here stuff starts to break really badly. So I'm trying to scroll slowly to see if I can trigger this thing because it looks like it cannot. Yeah, so like when I scroll smooth, it works. You can see that we are working just fine. But if I'm scrolling fast, then woo, stuff happens. I wonder how much this effect is actually noticeable when we don't have the background thing. Yeah, and of course now it needs to resend everything. So in this case, it's actually interesting. Yeah, it needs to re-render the CSS. Ooh, that is very sad. I think for me, it's pretty okay. 100,000 tracks is pretty extreme. I think having like 10,000 track. Am I token something. No, I'm calculating everything right. It's 10,000 tracks right now, right? So okay, now it's a bit better, I guess. I got used to this background. I want my background back. Okay. I also wonder actually if we did pollute some state here, because it looks to me that it's like way slower than it was before. So we only care about WebSockets, I guess. So I wonder, get WebSocket gear. I thought it already learned how to do stuff. Ah, no, this is, I think, only connect stuff. Can I change it? Maybe if we could change it and do like twice more, we can see what happens in the WebSocket itself. Switching protocols, step trace. Interesting, because it doesn't trigger WebSocket behavior. Okay, it doesn't really matter that much. Now we have 20,000 tracks here. It actually is quite smooth. So like, okay, it does lag a bit when I move it, but it doesn't lag as much as Spotify does with 100 tracks. So that is nice. Okay, let's just take 100 tracks for now, not doing anything as extreme as before. And I think it really lags now. And I wonder if maybe it didn't. Oh, we have Phoenix Live dashboard, so we can try to see what it doesn't like there. So atoms, metrics, quest logger. So this is just like normal observer, but on the web page, right? And those metrics. Okay, actually reading normal observer is way easier than that. So I will just open that. And we can see what is happening with load and with our memory usage in the system. So our memory usage is actually very low, right? It's like below 50 megabytes. And the load is also not really large. However, the stuff just doesn't load. I guess maybe I really just, oh wow, maybe I just killed my browser tab. So here, yeah, I think it was even not probably a problem of LiveView, it probably was a problem of the browser itself, which is pretty funny. Okay, now it looks okay. So even if I plot, you can see that there is some I/O usage happening. We get like 10% of scheduler utilization, but otherwise it's fine and its battery is smooth right now. Okay, let's stop torturing poor Elixir virtual machine and try to do some stuff more with that. So now this is just showing us a list of items. It's not yet a play queue. What we are missing for a play queue, right? We are missing controls that you can use. We are missing an ability to press some buttons to do something, and we are missing the play state, so we don't know what we are playing yet. For now, we can save our play state comparatively easy. We can just have an index in principle. This is not very efficient, and it will be very inefficient if we talk about very large play queues and if you want to keep history. Like, oh, by the way, history is pretty important topic because compared to Spotify, I don't want to do this thing. So Spotify has this like your play queue from which you can play, and here you have history from which you kind of also can play, but what will happen? Actually, I don't know. So like if I press here and then I go to queue, Okay, just replaces the track you will playing currently with this track from history, and then guess it will just continue with the queue. So it doesn't really do anything sensible. If you finished to listen to an album, and if you press, so like I listen to this album, right? And then I want to start from here, from the first track in the album. It will mean it will play the track, and then it will play the stuff that I had in my queue before. So there is no way to make Spotify just do that, I guess. And this is pretty important functionality for me, at least. By the way, I can also make it a bit, oh, I think that's a bit more comprehensible when you look at that. So we will need some controls. For controls, let's just add another div and let's call it controls pane. Yeah, if you have a block, you use dashes to separate the, or like sometimes it's called Perl keys to separate the different words there. So here, we will need to have play button and stuff like that. I don't want to spend much time styling things. So for now, I'll just skip it. But of course, you can imagine very beautiful design. Let's do that. I will just add a button and I will say back, play pause, next. Maybe even naming can be better. So here, let's start to separate things again. I will quickly switch back here because working with files is easier done from there. So you'll have playlist. Yes, that's right. We have those components, and we'll just need to import it. And then we will have also controls, which will be another thing. It will break now. And for controls, let's just say we can, so let's look at that again. Let's make it like that. So for controls, we can create a class here, for example. Button in principle is also something that you can use independently. So it will be a BEM block, not an element. So here, let's call it media button. And then we can look at our controls. And I don't know, let's do that. Interesting. Does it even class? Does it have the correct class? Yeah, it does. Do we controls? Is everything okay in our console? So oh yeah, now it works. So of course I don't want to do it like that. What I want to do, I want to make him a bit bigger. So I will just use the same thing we use. So main font family. And font size, I will use, so they're a bit bigger now. Next, I will need to make them, let's say, definitely I want to make them maybe white smoke. Yeah. It's really weird to see because if I don't set background color, stuff looks different. why stuff looks different? Why does browser thinks that it's a good idea to change oh shit, to change the appearance of this depending on background color? Is um, so weird. And if I say yellow, what will happen? Okay, now it's again something different. Okay, um, maybe white. Okay, white smoke. So it's like white, but not burn out your eyes white. I think next thing will be to. It probably has box shadow. I will just. Can I remove it? No, this is just a very basic button. So, or if I say, for example, what are the magical? So do an optional color, let's say gray, and what else does it want? Insert keyword, listed shadows, emitted lengths. Yeah, I think that's what I want to see. Does it change anything? No, doesn't seem so. Does it even understand what I'm asking it to do? Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't like me. Why don't you like me? No, you don't like me? Okay. In those situations, you go to NGN and you just say box shadow, and you get the. Or yeah, indeed, it should be in some unit of measure. So I can actually do it like that, and then it should. Yes, we were able to create a box shadow. I wonder if I can remove this ugly border. I was able to remove the ugly border. Okay, that's good. That's good to know. But now, of course, we don't have any state. So if I comment it out, then we have the state. Beauty. So maybe for now, I don't want to spend too much time on that. I will just do something like maybe like that. I will also add a bit of padding to this thing. I want to add padding only. So I think it starts with the up part and then, yeah, let's try it. Will it be very long now? Yes, those buttons are very long now, so I can even do that, I guess. Now, we also will need to create some nice spacing for them. So let's do that. You know what I will write here. We just do that. Then we say, let's just say justify content space evenly, maybe. If I center them and maybe also not good. Okay, space around. That's actually fine for this purpose. I think I want to give this thing a bit more height. So maybe I will also just do padding here and I will say, okay, let's do one right here. I don't need padding on horizontal axis, so that looks okay. Now we need to somehow show the play state, right? So for now, I will finally disable my background colors. So sorry to see you go. So we have this behavior. Maybe I want to even change the color here. So let's say, I don't know, let's say 220 maybe. Okay, that looks more fine. Okay, when you start to box shadow, you cannot stop to box shadow, right? So I'll just say, oh, that looks beautiful. It looks beautiful, of course, but also a bit cheesy. I wonder, go back, if I can make it a bit less. So I want to make it like really, really light shadow. And I probably should actually take this stuff and put it into my theme. And then shadow color. So then I can just use this variable here. And I can in principle even just, okay, I don't want to put it here, but I want to put it maybe behind the playlist itself. So will it work? Okay, it looks now a bit more, it creates a weird artifact here, but it probably doesn't matter yet. Now, important thing will be to add the play thingy, right? So how will that look, the play indicator for each track? That will be another div, which will have class track play button. And just can call it play. And I think it will be easier if we have icons. So we can go to font awesome. Here, start for free. I don't want to serve npm yarn. Does it? Okay, it does. Okay, that's better. I wonder where the embedding thing is. So start. I don't want that in my name. Level up other. Live. CTN. Oh god, this is so awful. They want my email address here. This is so dumb. Font awesome CTN. That's rather easy to overrule, though, right? So I guess that's the thing we need here, right? Root thingy. And then we can so let's look for play button. That looks perfect. Doesn't want my, oh god. I love the previous website more. There is so much pushing here right now. Well, thankfully, Font Awesome is not the only icon font that you can use, so I guess I will look for transition. Here, that will be the thing we want to add, and hopefully nothing will work. I wonder if it still, do I get this thing? Can I open it? Yes, I guess. Only focus. Oh. Does it actually load? Why doesn't it has it? So I want to actually see all now, and I want to oops, socket up 5-icon frame. Don't see anything actually. Firefox cannot establish a connection. LiveView lowered. Blah blah blah. If we go to head and we look at this, okay, it did lower it. Superpowers. Does it actually include this play thing? Video play. Play before. So we have this FR play and this same okay, let's play. I wonder actually what happens if you just put this stuff here. Will it work? I guess not. Yeah, no, it doesn't. Okay. Okay, icon fonts. We will look for the replacement right now then. Font awesome, icon font. Okay. Can I actually... Okay, it wants me to download stuff. Do they have CDN? How to use? Oh. Okay. We'll start with the font number 15. For a bit. Admin vector line. Next. Okay. I will open up Font Awesome for now because I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I will open up in another browser. So if they think having my email will have them much, they are really not smart about that. So I wonder if they will actually send me an email or if it will not work. Yes. Oh no, okay, I'm not doing registration right now. I will just not use icon font for now then. I will just go and do it old-fashioned way. I just write play here and I will just add this. Or actually, I will just add this. And this is our magical track play. Actually, okay, I wonder... I think we also need to say that this is... Okay. I will just maybe make it... think that was the one I got, right? Yep. And I will then make it a bit larger. So let's make it like 2 rem. Ooh, a bit too much. Is it still? I actually don't want to care about color. What I care more is about border. So and then here, oops, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to move here that so it corresponds to our thing. Maybe I will also put a border here, right? So okay, it looks nice. Which actually leads me to another thing. So probably we should put some borders here. Of course, not like that. We can make it. So in this case, maybe we can even do it exactly like that. Just do maybe border radius something crazy. Okay, that's a bit too crazy. Okay, let's just do it old-fashioned way. It looks so bad. Maybe so. Oh, maybe what I want to do is to make the thing itself smaller. Can I do it? Can I make it like? I wonder what happens if you do that. I guess yeah. Okay, that's what happens. Okay, fine. I won't do the border here for now, but I will make a border for the track itself. So border bottom, I only care about one here. Solid, and let's make it just gray. So that looks a bit more decent. It looks, maybe I even don't want to make it, do I want to make it necessarily solid? I want to make it solid. I just don't want to make it so prominent, and I can go below 1 pixel. I can go lighter on colors also. Okay, that looks better. So now we got that. We now need to somehow show when the track is playing, right? So let's create, for now I will make them all look like they're playing. So we will need a modifier. That's the third element of BEM, where we have blocks that is called track and its state is playing. So that's our modifier. Modifiers are separated from blocks and block and element combination by double dash, I think. Are they? Am I mixing stuff? No, they are. So because you cannot have, you have one dash in the name of block maximum. In elements, you only have underscores. So when you switch to modifier, it will be either after block or after element, and in this case it will always, you will always distinguish between them, right? So track playing. So the easier thing, of course, is do the same. Doesn't look very plain right now. Let's add a bit to our state, and here we will need currently playing. Let's just say force, right? Index. So then what we will need to do is to do maybe even that. So I wonder if that will work. So for track and track index, and then we can do that. Just write some Elixir code here. So for our track class will be it's called plain index. Actually, if track index equals to plain index, then the class will be track plain. Otherwise, the class will be track. Track index is not an assign, of course, so plain index. Why plain index is not? Oh, because of course I'm dumb, so we should do that. And now we don't lose the state. And here we can then use this thing to inline the variable we just created. And we got this thing working, right? This is the current plain track. If we change it like that, it should be next one. If it's 0, it should be first one. We have 100, right? So that will be 99. And if we have nil, then no track is plain and everything is still right. So let's keep it back at 4. Now, with that thing, we will need to, of course, start working on actually allowing us to switch the state, right? So for that, we can just assign the Phoenix click event here. I believe you just need to write the name of the event. So here it will be play this. And I think we also can pass a value by, okay, I already forgot that. So Phoenix LiveView, we need to look at the docs. Oh yeah, they also changed the docs, I believe. So here for the client store, yeah, value something. So that will be the value, I guess, index, and we just do the same thing. We say, take this magical thing. Okay, I actually don't need the normal HTML anymore. I will take embedded Elixir so we get a bit better highlight here. Okay, that looks a bit better. So here we can then use track index, right? So now, in principle, when you click on that, we should get some events. We should also see, oh my God. So yeah, and when we do that, we get this error. So we get that, okay, you cannot really see this error here properly, but let me quickly, I can just actually remove this thing for now. So that's the error. It says that we don't have handle event. And I can put myself back here. So for this stuff, we will need to go back here and we will need to do this. So instead of search, we will say event will be play this. That will be our state, right? And I think if you pass this Phoenix value thing, what happens? They are just passed. Yeah, you can get state from socket. Yes, assign. So that will be then track just index, and let's call it track index because otherwise it will be very confusing. Track index. So track index, and this will be track index. And we can just for now do nothing here, right? And then see if we still get an error. So now if I click here, okay, something's still. Handle event doesn't match. Play this track index Phoenix like use socket. Message is, maybe we should just reset it because in principle it should work. Handle event, play this. Variable is unused. Track. Oh, it's because this thing is different. So we have this track index written with underscore actually. And we should use this. So now, okay, I hope I will not see an error now. Just in case I will reload that. And then expected one of not reply, no reply. Yeah, those handle assigns, they should return okay, new temperature, no reply, assign, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, yay, nothing happens. We can just, for now, do, right? And then we will see 3, 2, 1, 0, 99. Perfect. So let's then change our state. So for now, the only thing that we will need to do, we will need to take current track. Actually, we can just do socket equals assign socket playing index track index. I think that's all actually is what we need. Or not. Socket. How assign works here. Socket. Oh, yes. So we have different syntaxes there. Okay. Will it make me happy? No, it doesn't want to make me happy. We need to see what happens actually with the socket state then. So does assign just socket temperature? Socket assign site 0. Socket temperature. I will just do your inspect socket assigns. And then, so this is our science. Plain index becomes 3. Ooh, because this is of course a string. So, so I guess well, we can actually just fail in case something doesn't work out. So track index will be equal integer. Am I stupid? Do integer? Oh, I guess integer parse Yes, which will be I will just hard match here. Then I hopefully finally don't need this part. And then, yay, it works. So it's not the most beautiful play button, but at least it works. And you can actually move stuff around and see that we hit everything. Now, of course, the play state itself is not only limited to that, right? So if you have something playing, this button just should show pause. So for that, we can just do an if here. So let's just give them a bit more space and collapse this part. So here you can see we have this. Ooh, didn't want to do that. I wanted to do this. So we will write an if thingy. So if actually, can we do case here? Plain index 2. And here we can write and here if it's nil, we can say play. God, that looks so weird. And if it's not nil, then index then is integer index. We can say pause. And I completely broke it, right? Maybe it doesn't like me putting this stuff like that. Maybe it really just wants to have a unbroken case condition. Actually, I don't even know if you can do that. Like, I think elixir pause. Oh yeah. Not elixir pause necessarily, just pause. So nice. Now, of course, what happens when you press on the pause button, right? So we can then assign Phoenix click here and make it, let's just call it play or pause. And just to visually show that there is some event, I always put it on the next line after all the classes and stuff. So now when we press on this button, we should be able to change our state, right? So we can say handle event, we will do play or pause. We really don't care about that. We get socket, and then we get if socket assigns plain. That's actually, oh, I wanted to test case condition, if we can actually use case condition in the template itself. It worked, but normally I would just say, actually, even that is not needed. So if we have something there, then we just pause. So we set plain index to 0, right? So we say assign socket plain index nil. Actually, that will be our return. And otherwise, if there is nothing there, then we just do it plain index, set it to 0 actually. So then no reply socket. So let's pause, let's play. Pause, play, pause, play, pause. You can see how beautiful this scene is because this is amazing thing about modeling your UI as a data structure, because then I didn't need to specify, for example, that when I'm in this situation where nothing is playing and I press on this, I need to change the button text here, right? I didn't write this particular logic. I just said, okay, if playing index is not new, then you need to say pause. If it's new, then you need to say play. And then if I press here, it changes the index. And since everything is synchronized, you always end up in well-defined state. This is so nice. Now, of course, what we need to do is previous and next buttons, right? So we can do that as well rather easily. We can just add some more events here. So I'm following the same convention. I will just do that like this and like this. And I will just add Phoenix click. And here I will say previous. And here I will say next. And here we can just do pretty much the same stuff, right? We can yank this. Do previous. And then if we don't play anything and we press previous, what happens? The answer, I think, should be nothing happens, right? So we should disable this button if nothing happens. If second is not a thing, then we just say no reply socket, right? That, of course, also will break rather easily. So, oh, that's previous. So we need to do that. And for next, I already see a bug here, but let's first do that and see how it will break the actual interface. So there are two things. We also need to just quickly add the disabling logic for them. Okay, actually, we can even do craziest things, right? We can say if playing index, then oops, that we didn't need. And we can, apart from disabling, we can just completely remove them if you want. So it's not the best thing for most cases, but look, buttons disappear. Buttons appear. Okay, one thing that is very obvious here is that play, for example, is moving around, right? But okay, we get some basic behavior, so we can do next. But then we can also, right now, if I press, I'm pretty sure my state right now, of course, is that play something is minus thing. So we need to do this. We need to take this stuff and we need to say that we cannot go to the next track. You cannot go below 0. I mean, sorry. So that, I think, do we have min function? So like, yes, we do. Okay, perfect. So like, do we need to take max here? Yeah, we need to take max. So like, this can go below 0, where then we need to always take the first track if we go below 0. Now, if we do that, okay, now it's correct behavior. We don't go over the top. Then, of course, for this thing, we can also index do similar stuff, right? So here we can go over the lengths of the whole queue that we have. And then actually there are two cases we can consider, right? We can go back, so we can make it like a ring, and when you press previous on this situation and you press previous, it maybe should go here, but that doesn't make any sense. I think nobody will ever need that. Same with next. So like if we play in that and then we want to go to next, well, right now we're overflowing, but I think we just need to stay there. So then in this case, we need to max index will be socket assigns queue length. And here we will need to take a minimum, right? So max index will be also -1. So that's the thing. So now when we press next, that doesn't happen. Beautiful. Okay, let's do one thing now. Let's fix a bit our control behavior and let's make it look less weird. So we will not disappear the buttons. Instead, we will also do this. So I think we can just write a block here where, okay, that we don't need. Where we will say, okay, if we have plain index 2, so this will be previous state, previous class. So it's similar patterns that we use here, right? We create just a normal Elixir code block where we create a logic for defining a class for some specific button or element. So here we say for previous class, if plain index, then we say the button, and if it's not playing anything, then media button minus disabled, right? And same we can do for next. So media button. Or maybe aux button class. So we don't need to repeat the same logic. So then we will need to define the disable thing. Oh, that of course we can also now remove. So now they don't disappear, but they don't disable themselves either yet. So I actually wonder if we can set it. Let's see. Can we actually do that only from CSS? disable via CSS. Disable button via CSS. Thank you. Button class, button disable, button disable pointer. Okay, so they are disabled. Well, can we actually just put stuff inside the tag? I wonder. So if I say, okay, and aux button disabled, what happens if I say nil and actually if not plain index, then we return disabled? Okay, that wouldn't work, right? We will need to define. I really wonder if we can define this kind of attribute actually. So we have bindings, DOM patching. Maybe that's the things that we need. DOM content, temporary assigns, messages. EX render. Pitfalls. Some variable. Oh, that's by the way the syntax for conditions. I guess it's the same for case. Okay, it doesn't work that easy. I guess we can try the CSS style thingy. Do pointer events 0. Okay, let's try to see if that very quick change will help us. Disabled pointer events, no. Plain. Okay. I wonder. I want to check if we trigger anything here. Okay, maybe I also need to make that a bit more readable because right now it's very non-readable. So actually can do it like that. And here I want to see if previous is triggered, right? So disregarding, let's see. Just in case. So I'm pausing, nothing triggers. Plain and triggers. Beautiful. Okay, it works. It doesn't look very disabled though. I wonder if I just manually add the class here, so saying disabled. Just gray stuff out. So for us, it actually doesn't make as much sense. Maybe I can just say, yeah, I can say color gray. Okay, looks quite disabled to me. Now I need to fix the widths of those buttons because otherwise they constantly move, which is not nice. So let's remove this stuff for now. Prefer to put stuff like width and padding before. So I guess a bit too little. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 10. Will be enough? Yes. And then when I pause, play. Okay, nothing is disappearing, which is nice. Space. That looks a bit better. So we got quite a bit of stuff already going, right? We got a basic queue behavior, but we now have one problem, right? We have all the old tracks sticking up here, and we don't track the track length. I don't think I will have enough time today to model the actual play where you have they don't have all like immediate lengths, right? Or infinite length. They have certain timings. And then depending on that, you need to show this thing. So that's important. Of course, you also have loop controls and shuffle controls, but that doesn't matter. And then we also will need to see how we move stuff around queue, because right now we can only just play and track the position and see the names of the bands and stuff like that. But that will be a topic of another stream. I think as a finishing touch on that state, what do I want to do? I think for now I just will want to commit this stuff, so you can also inspect the code. I think that's a good presentation of what we have here. I think it was a good idea to show this particular thing because here it's very simple state, but you have a lot of dependencies on your controls right from this state. So depending on what is playing, you can have different things happening. You can have buttons disabling and enabling. You have the solve, previous, next logic. I think it's pretty cool stuff. And by the way, we never tested next, but it works as expected. So that's really good to see. I think next time we will talk about how to represent this stuff a bit more efficiently. We will talk about representing track length, and I think we also will talk about showing a bit more information and maybe starting to do some album pages and stuff like that. But for now, I just want to commit the stuff. So let's see. Of course, it's not. Do I add something weird? Fig package log things. Oh, that's okay. So we have committed this stuff. And I'll quickly create a repository for that. Yeah, new repository. Oh yeah, I already did some stuff, but that was, I believe, with some different technology and way back. So in this user, it's weird. Oh, wow, closure. Okay, that's, I guess this stuff I can just rename. Actions. Change repository, archive split. Can I, oh, yeah, playlist old. So we renamed it, and now we can create a new one. I guess I reached this age when you don't even remember anymore. Modeling a play queue playlist with Phoenix LiveView. And we can just commit stuff. So yep, you can see the code here at Lacrat playlist. Thank you for watching. See you next time. I think I will do another stream in a week or two. Continuing with this thing, we will try to model it a bit more, and maybe also get artist pages going and some album logic and groupings. We will see what we will be able to achieve. Thank you. Stay safe. Bye.